stay cool.
All righty then. My name's Jay Fallon. Thanks for listening to the Slippery Slope. So I've got a bit of police news that I have to share today. Now, thanks to the trolley boy, friend of mine, former former colleague. Trolley boy calls me, says, "Hey Jay, guess what? Couple of things to unpack, he reckons." And this story, one of the stories I'm going to go through, this is what he was talking about. So yeah, shout out to Trolley Boy for giving me the heads up. But there's a couple of articles we're going to go through today, so let's get straight into it, all regarding QPS, Queensland Police Service. First story. This come through. Actually, it all comes through from the Courier Mail. There was so much information on the Courier Mail. I've had to actually subscribe. I'm actually now paying for the news. Ridiculous. But anyway, Queensland Police Survey. Officer outline what service needs to retain staff and improve safety. Jay, learn to speak properly. The main headlines or points. Okay, we asked police what they think. This is what they said. 76% said the QPS was not heading in the right direction. No joke, it's not heading in the right direction. Crikey, that's an understatement, isn't it? 61.5 want better pay and superannuation. I'm going to come back to that. 96% said court sentences did not meet community expectations. Well, no joke, but that's really a government issue, I think. 65.4% would not recommend friends and family to join the QPS. That surprised me a little, but I agree. So many of the guys that I've known that have gotten out, like, nah, and people I know who are still in would not recommend. So yeah, 72.7% want the pursuit policy relaxed. I understand why they want it relaxed. However, if they do that, I think it's just going to endanger more people, including police officers. I don't think it should be relaxed, but I do think there's other things that they need to consider. Uh, 76.9% said GPS trackers would make policing easier. Oh, crikey. I read this, I thought, yeah, yeah. It you're not going to have a free society. Okay. If someone goes to jail, goes to prison, serves their sentence, comes out after serving their sentence, and then the government turn around and say, "Hey, crack, let's chuck a little tracker on you. We're going to monitor you 24/7." That's that is not a free society and would make policing easy. Who decides? What, everyone who goes to jail, as soon as they come out of jail, they're on a GPS tracker? That is not a free society. That is a police state. That's when you've just turned the corner and you've just full on weaponizing the police. Uh, don't agree with that at all. To me, that's just a knee jerk reaction. Yep. GPS trackers, that'll make things easier. I don't think it's ridiculous. Anyway, 61% support lifting the retirement age. So I'm not sure how this was. This was what I understood. That most of the people that I spoke to who had retired while I was in the service still had thought, they would like the retirement age lifted. People on the podcast, comments have been made from people who are still in the service saying, well, the general consensus now is that people don't want it raised. They're quite happy to retire and get out, and people are looking to get out earlier. So I think there's a bit of a mixture here for people who want to serve and keep on going. They probably do want the age limit raised, but as we see, they're unable to retain officers. So there are a lot of people who are just getting out and just looking to move out a bit earlier anyway. So it talks about how they've got low morale. Uh, the results of the What's Cop Want survey are backed up by new data, Safe Australia, that shows the rate of officers making compensation claims for psychological injury has skyrocketed in the past 4 years, from 101 to 254 in 2022 to 2023. I've shared about my own issues with PTSD, which were kind of coming around in the last couple of years of being in the service. But the pressures of everything within QPS, and you can understand. I can see why. I don't know if people understand how psychologically draining and straining it is. It doesn't take viewing a lot of not necessarily dead bodies, but you go to a couple of big brawls, you go to a couple of gruesome fights, a lot of blood everywhere. You go to a couple of car accidents when you see bodies contorted into positions that you know bodies just should not be in. Um, for myself, you see a couple of people squashed beyond recognition, and you start thinking, yeah, it just starts messing with your head. And to be honest with myself, what I found was I'd had training in QPS where they'd said, just compartmentalize. This is how we do. You put you consider your brain to be like a vault where you can you put it into little compartments, and you just for that day's activities, you put it into that compartment, you lock it away, and for the next day, and that's how you keep everything separate from your family life. It doesn't work. It doesn't work for myself. A couple of years later, I couldn't work out because I was just too naive, I suppose. I don't know why. I'm just constantly waking up 2 o'clock every morning, because I've had the same dream, or no, I wouldn't even call it a dream, but remembering the same gruesome car accident, or remembering the same fucking outlandish brawl that I'd gone to. Um, Whatever. It just, yeah, you try and block everything out, and all you do is when you're asleep, your brain just starts thinking about all the things that you don't want to think about, and it starts messing with your head. So don't compartmentalize. And I hear this thing. This thing's still getting around. I think in QPS and in the military, they talk about compartmentalizing. It's a load of rubbish. It does not work. You've got to talk about the things that you see. Don't block it. Don't s- don't block it from your mind. It's the stupidest bit of advice I ever received. Anyway, that's my little rant for that. Going on. Uh, so yeah, according to the Queensland Police Service Union, the most useless union in the world, the 2023-2024 figure about 125, it's up about 125% on the previous year. Like, sorry, I can't see this because this stupid ad from Google. Yeah, figures are up about 125% on the previous year. Across the board, police say they want to be better supported by superiors, including the government. Well, one way you can get better supported is to ditch that clown Mark Ryan. He ditched police when the mandates came in. He said, well, if you don't agree, we'll just get out and we'll just get new ones. And the issue with wanting better support from superiors is the superiors are the problem. The upper echelon of the police ranks are what is the problem. They need to be cleared out. We need someone. We need someone or several people across the policing group to come in with with the intention of complete change within the higher ranks from inspector and above. There needs to be sweeping changes. There is so much waste within those ranks. So many superfluous positions getting around. So many officers that are just biding their time, just raking in, very, very lucrative paychecks, and they're not really fulfilling any substantial role. Not really supporting the community at large. They're just supporting their own bank accounts. That's all they're doing. There needs to be sweeping changes within the upper ranks, and a way. And you're right. They need better support from superiors, but you're not going to get that in the current in the way it's currently run. So it goes on and says, policing is such a unique career, one you can't truly understand unless you live it, one Southeast Region officer said. Maybe, yeah, I suppose. The government continually expects extraordinary things from everyday ordinary people. Police are asked to do so much that we've forgotten what policing is actually about. Yeah, well, they've put aside community policing, and yeah, okay. Policing are asked to do so much for what we've forgotten what policing is actually about. But I think this all comes back to the weaponization of police and the politicization of police. So realistically, I think a lot of this comes back and can be laid at the feet of the police union. I want to go back to the part where it says 60 all right, where is it? 61.5% want better pay and superannuation. Before I joined the police, I had my own business. And since leaving the police, I'm working in mining. And one thing I always felt when I was in the police was that I worked a lot harder being a business owner, a lot harder for my money when I was working for myself. And since getting out and going into mining, I realized I work a lot harder and a lot longer for my money. And it's comparative. When I was in the police, I was on the six figures. I'm in mining. I'm still on I'm on six figures still. Roughly the same money actually. And I'm talking when I was a senior connie, not when I was just a connie. Um, so as a senior connie doing surveillance at the Triple C, I was still on six figures. I've gotten out. I'm still making relatively the same money. Maybe it's, yeah, relatively the same money. Still six figures in mining, but I work a lot harder and a lot more in ways is expected from your boss because they're paying you out of their pocket. Um, so I always thought, I worked a lot harder when before I was in the police and I had my own business because it was my money. It was up to me to make the money. So I think there are a lot of police out there, and I would say this to the police officers that I work with. We get paid, they get paid well for the work they're doing. Fine. There's a lot that is required of them. But my personal belief is you get paid well for what you do. And I also believe, and I can say this from experience, I saw when I was in GDs, especially, I saw a lot of officers that dodged work. There are a lot of lazy police officers there. Okay. And let's be honest, if you're a police officer watching this, you know, and you've probably done it yourself. We've all done it at times, gone out and dodged work. Or the amount of senior connies that get in and say, well, I'm not going to have to do this because I've got a first year with me and they're going to have to take care of this job. Or, we've got the connies, we outrank them, you have to take care of it. So I don't agree with the better pay or better superannuation. Your superannuation is one of the best in the nation, the best in the nation. Anyway, let's get on to this. Next one I wanted to talk about this article that came up here. Police Service refuses to say why Acting Deputy Commissioner Mark Wheeler moved to lesser position. Now, before I go on with this article, I just want to say Mark Wheeler, he's the one who signed off on the letter written to me when the lawyers were trying to make a case, well, they were making a case for why I should just be allowed to continue in QPS. I think and get some compensation. I can't remember the end. Anyway, it was this clown here, Mark Wheeler, who'd signed off on it and basically obnoxiously just said, well, if Jason wants to come back to QPS, he'll just have to come back in, by regular recruiting methods. Forget that he's done over 10 years working with us and he's only just been out for I think at that time, like 2 or 3 months. No, he'll have to go back by regular recruiting methods. This little Weasley clown, Mark Wheeler. Sorry, Mark, you're our weasel. The Queensland Police Service is refusing to reveal why one of the state's highest ranking officers, touted as a future leader, sorry, now former leader, was quietly moved to a lesser position. That's because they're open and transparent. As revealed by the Bulletin, Deputy Commissioner Mark Wheeler has been downgraded to a chief superintendent. That's embarrassing, Wheeler. That is embarrassing. In a mystery move that's understood to see him take a substantial pay cut. Police sources claim the move could be the result of a historic disciplinary complaint against Mr. Wheeler, which has recently resurfaced. Oh, I wonder whether anyone sent him a nice little letter. Oh, he's an indignant. Anyway, it's understood the allegation dates back to the 1990s when he was working as a senior sergeant and officer in charge of a station. The Bulletin has sent multiple requests to Queensland Police Service, QPS, to ask about Wheeler's situation, whether as a result of an internal disciplinary matter. The service has refused to answer. That's because they're open and transparent. That's why they refuse to answer. Anyway, next job, and this is what the my mate Trolley Boy had sent me. He wanted to talk about. I'll go through the first article. Maryborough Queensland police officer charged, suspended. I know a little bit about suspension. A Maryborough police officer has been charged over the alleged misuse of a restricted computer and accessing confidential information systems. Police said in a statement Wednesday night the officer, a 30-year-old constable, I believe he's a first year constable, he'd obviously forgotten what they go through at the academy. You know, when they say, hey, cracks, don't do this. Don't go and look up information on the computer that you're not supposed to be looking at. Don't do it. Anyway, I suppose it'd been a long time since the academy in the first year. Anyway, allegedly committed the offences while on duty. He has been suspended from the service with pay. Oh, golly gee, with pay. And only in his first year, and he still gets suspended with pay. Yeah, okay. And he's ordered to appear at Maryborough Magistrates Court. Anyway, here it is. There he is. There's his face. There's his face there. 31-year-old. So a first year police constable. Oh, there you go. He is. With he's charged with accessing confidential information, has fronted court in Maryborough. There he is there. Suspended police officer Mark Staib. Staib. I don't know how you pronounce that. Staib. So there he is there. Great little goatee. Oh my goodness. Mark. Shave, mate. Shave. A Harvey Bay police officer fronted court in Maryborough, can't talk properly today, on Monday, October 21, 2 days ago, on charges of misusing a restricted computer and accessing confidential information systems. Suspended first year Connie Mark Stabe appeared in the Maryborough Magistrates Court. No plea was entered and his case was adjourned to November 26. Mr. Stabe will continue to serve a suspension as he awaits his next court date. Oh, so guaranteed he has got police union support, which, well, going by my experience, the police union, when it's something like this, they will stand by you. Okay, they will stand by you. When it's something serious and when it's something that they actually have to take a stand on, an actual stand, like I don't want to harp on this, but like when it comes back to the mandates, they won't take a stand on that because they've got no backbone. And just because Ian Levers has left, it hasn't gotten any better with little man Pryor. I sat in the meeting with Pryor. He was right next to me while I was being accused of getting false information, all my information on the jab from, right wing extremist news outlets. And he had nothing to say because the union had already made a deal with the devil anyway, and they'd already thrown police officers under the bus. So the police union isn't worth a pinch of salt. Okay. They've got no backbone at all. Uh, Probably going against this fella. He's a first year. Um, Also, the policy about looking up information that you really shouldn't be looking up. That's been in for a long time. They go through it when you're at the academy. It is drummed into you. Don't do this. I think the actual policy was changed. It might have been when the Whistler commissioner was in. What was his name? He used to talk and whistle all its time. Can't remember his name now. I can see his face. Anyway, I think it might have been brought in when he was around. So it's been in for quite a while. Everyone knows you shouldn't be doing this. We had a job when I was at the Triple C. I can't remember. I won't say her name, but she was actually a plant for the bikies, and she was actually a plant for the bikies. And as soon as she was in, like within the first 14 days of being a first year Connie, she had a QPS went and gave her a little iPad, and she was looking up intel and passing it off to her ex bikie boyfriend. Um, and when I look back and think about some of the things that I'd seen a lot of the time it was these first, second year connies doing the wrong things that they were doing. The question that I ask is why aren't the people in HR, why aren't they held accountable for hiring these people, for allowing them through the recruitment process? Uh, the recruitment process isn't as stringent as it used to be. They've lowered the standards. There are some, I think we're going to see a lot more of these first year connies getting in trouble because the standards have been lowered. Because Queensland Police Service have found it way too hard to find good recruits. So what have they done? They've lowered the standards, and then they get people in here who they'll go to the academy and they hear the people, the sergeants at the academy say, "Hey, don't go and look up information on the computer and pass it on to your friends." And they sit there thinking, well, this doesn't apply to us. I can do whatever I want. I put on the uniform. I've been sworn in. I'm a police officer now. I'll just do whatever the heck they want. How are they going to see this? Why aren't HR pulled over the coals? I never understood. Like I said, we had this job. This woman, it was very blatantly in her history that she had a connection to bikies, and she also had a bad driving record. Just looking at her driving record, she shouldn't have been. She'd been charged with drink driving, for crying out loud, and HR still allowed her in. Why the heck wasn't HR, human resources? Why wasn't someone there pulled over the coals? Why weren't they losing their job? Makes no sense. But the issue is they've lowered the standards. They need more police. They're not retaining police like they used to. So everyone's running around trying to cover up the problems and just allowing these people in who should not be in. This is what happens when you're recruiting people who are just interested in lifestyle and money. They believe that they're above the law. They put on the uniform. They're just a first year connie and they think, yep, I can do whatever the heck I want. And he's suspended with pay. Isn't that wonderful? Anyway, that's just my opinion. Thanks, thanks to the trolley boy for putting me onto this article. I missed it. That's my opinion. I'm Jay Fallon. Thanks for listening to The Slippery Slope.
And say it isn't real, and please don't go away. Just give me one more day. What if I could? What if I could turn back time? I'd make you smile again. And if I could unbreak your heart, and we could start again. What if I could? What if I could turn back time? I'd make you smile again. And if I could unbreak your heart, and we could start again. We could start again. We could start again. We could start again.